No, god damn it. Anyway, welcome back to Genshin Impact Audible. That's right. Hey, David. Well, anyway, today we're gonna be doing the event as well as trying to finish off the little one's quest. I found 2 quests right here and here. I've missed them somehow, and so let's try and do it. How's my stam looking? Oh, it's looking great. How am I doing? I think I'm gonna get sick. Just a feeling. No. Yeah, I never came here on this part of a quest. Ah, shit. Wrong order? It's red. It's green. Maybe this one's first. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Yeah, I guess I never went up here. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Rawr. Roar. Vigilant.
Are we interrupting its mealtime? It sure looks annoying.
Overly watchful Yonkasaurus. What are you doing? We're friends. Oh. It's something furry. Something furry is blocking your path. It's a llama. Oh, alpaca. Hmm? Roar. Hmm.
Eh? So you're all friends then?
Roar. Roar, roar. Someone who seems in charge of watching the alpacas comes over and calms the Yunkasaurus. Hey, calm yourself, half-baked. See, that's why you've got your name. Making rash judgments like you always do. Roar. Don't worry about him. He's just got too strong a sense of duty. Gets all angsty when there are strangers about. But it's also thanks to that dedication that I've got an easy time over here, taking care of these alpacas. Anyway, what brings you people to my little spot? Just roaming about, you know, on our adventures. Been considering an idyllic pastoral life recently. Yeah, that's right. I would actually consider that in Fontaine, though. Then you've come to the right place. Just leave all the alpaca care to your Saurian. like I do, and the world's your oyster.
Huh. Paimon didn't know that Imcosaurs could do that. And here we were thinking the alpacas were about to get attacked. Guess it was all just a misunderstanding, huh?
Ah, that's what she meant by interrupting its meal time. I didn't think they were going to eat each other. What's Paimon thinking? Aye, and a common one it is too. I know my fella looks fierce, but he's pretty close to yon and peckers. Why, I'd even call them friends. Ooh, roar, roar, roar. What's up, little guy? You want to be friends with them too? Of course. Roar, roar.
Well, guess so. But yeah, thinking about it, you usually just hang out with the two of us, some animal friends.
That'd do him good, yes. Would be quite the adorable scene too, don't you think? A little Tapetlosaurus surrounded by a pack of friends. Me? I could chow down on 3 bowls of blazed meat stew before I got bored of it. What? Well, she's watched it like I don't know, like a YouTube video or even a movie. Still, that'll depend on whether my alpacas agree or not. Friendship's not to be forced and all. Won't you say so, half-baked? What's this? Someone doesn't want to get friendly with our hash brown? That's alright. Whatever happens, hash brown still got us.
Paimon knows you're trying to be nice just in case things don't work out. But there's no need to be this pessimistic from the get-go. Kids need more encouragement to grow up strong and healthy. That's right, Hash Brown. You can do it. Paimon believes in you.
Rawr! Oh, your Tapetlosaurus got confidence coming out of its ears. Oh, I'm blind. Guess I'll head back and get some rest. Just holler if there's trouble. Wait, you know what? Might as well holler for a half-baked instead. He's the alpaca expert here after all. Just kidding. Alright, little fella, you've got this. Good luck. Try talking to the alpacas. Hello, half-baked. Roar. Where's Boss Summon? Let's see what he says. One, 2, 3, 4. 4. It's hiding again. Where is it gone? We're missing an alpaca. Do I have to be a saurian to talk to them? Energetic alpaca. Roar! Roar! Oh, what?
Is this one holding a grudge because of our misunderstanding with Half-Baked? Oh well, not much we can do about that now. Come on, Hash Brown, let's try our luck elsewhere.
You fought my friend. I guess I don't have to talk saurian. Looks like it's still mad at us. Hello, dopey. I like this one. Roar! 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 Is it asleep? Roar! Doesn't look like there's much hope here.
Well, these things happen, you know. Don't feel down, Hash Brown, you still got a chance.
Greedy alpaca. Roar! Roar. Ooh.
Oh boy, looks like we interrupted the feeding session. Don't worry, Hash Brown, this was just bad timing, that's all. Let's try to look elsewhere. I know these three alpacas want to make friends with Hash Brown. I wonder if there are any other alpacas out nearby that we haven't asked.
Anyway, I should talk to her. Waktana. I have neither goals I must reach, nor have I urgent desires. I'm a happy shepherd. I care only for alpacas, for the seasons and things that grow, for the cool breeze and rains. That's my favorite song. What do you think? Pretty good, huh? That's a song. I need to provide some music. Melody, I mean. Wait, what the hell? I really haven't been up here, huh? I'll get to it later. Yep. What's wrong, Hash Brown? Oh. Roar! Scaredy cat alpaca.
Huh? What's this other alpaca doing here?
Roar! Roar! Roar!
What's wrong? Is it trapped down there?
Use the wooden planks to create a path. Roar!
Got some wooden planks here. Let's use them to make our way out.
Would it be able to climb up like that? Oh. It just broke. Is this even stable? Roar! Only after much roaring encouragement from Hash Brown does the timid alpaca climb back up using the freshly laid wood plank path. Ooh. 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 Roar. Roar. Faced with Hash Brown's enthusiasm, the timid-looking alpaca seems unafraid, instead bending down and gently touching Hash Brown with its nose. Roar. Roar.
Guess that means you're getting on great, huh?
A friend of yours, Hash Brown, is a friend of mine. Kinda jealous. Yeah.
Huh? Jealous of who exactly? Still, it's kinda dangerous for this alpaca to be out there completely on its own. We better go tell Tana what's going on. Also, I'm sure she'll be happy to hear that Hash Brown made a friend too.
Doesn't look quite so scared anymore. Okay. Maybe this one saw the whole thing. Energetic alpaca. Let's get rid of this. I see you're back, little fella. How did it go? Making alpaca friends? Roar! 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 Aren't you a happy camper? Oh, you're even making me feel all jolly.
Hey, Watana, shouldn't you be a bit more concerned about what happens to the alpacas? The one Hash Brown made friends with wasn't a real tight spot back there.
That's so. Guess I gotta talk to Half-Baked real quick then. Tell her to take more care. You're way too chill about this. Half-Baked has it rough, huh? Sure, but he was always a massive worrywart. If I took him off alpaca guard, he'd start losing fur from the stress, I tell you. So this arrangement's best. Job satisfaction for him, free and easy living for me. Win-win, wouldn't you say? Maybe you could look after them both together? Ah, yes. If Hash Brown's fond of the alpaca toy over by the side, I can let you all have it. Roar!
Guess Hash Brown doesn't know what standing on ceremony is, huh? Thanks, Invactana.
Nah, no biggie. If you want to drop by again, you're always welcome. Stored in your rest area. About half-baked. That I have the life I enjoy now is all thanks to his sense of responsibility. Speaking of his name, I did plan to call him something more normal. Back then I was friends with a chef from Sumeru, and I was trying all kinds of creative dishes, so I thought of naming him for some kind of food. Now he might look pretty fierce, but he's sweetie on the inside and occasionally makes a few harmless mistakes when he gets too reckless. Yeah, half-baked fits his vibe just fine. About alpacas. Floofy and furry. They're super cute. Sometimes when I really want to take an afternoon nap, I use them for pillows. And it feels like... that must be what... it feels like to sleep on a cloud, right? Maybe their fleece could be used to make pillows or cushions. I suppose, yes. I'll leave you to it then. Here's wishing you a peaceful and pleasant day. All four are here. Let's not play out the beer to Petlosaur. Oh, what the hell? Oh, you can't climb on it? Shit. And you need a beer to Petlosaur. Let's do this. Well, it's just here now. Queepia. Hello. 300 Mora entry fee. Can I get a discount? It's free if I beat you, right?
Hey, that's not how we normally do things.
The price is set by the Saurian Relics Association and cannot be negotiated. As far as I know, it's already the cheapest excavation site, as it's open the longest. But nowadays, we sometimes get dreamers like you who want to try their luck. After all, you never know. Maybe none of the hundreds and thousands of people who came before you had a good eye for treasure and missed a priceless relic that only looks ordinary. Many would pay 300 for such a beautiful dream. So how lucky are you feeling? Do you believe you'll be the one to strike it rich? Ooh, rawr, rawr, rawr. My luck's never let me down. I don't need that. I've got a lucky Saurian.
Feel like putting your luck to the test, huh, Hash Brown?
Rawr.
You definitely looks up to it. And what's 300 more anyway? Paimon can handle that. Being able to buy 3 rays of hope for that sum is kind of a steal, really.
Then I wish you all the best of luck. Try your luck at the excavation site. Maybe I should have went to the excavation site first and then she'll prompt. Was that was a bit random, right? Where is it? There's no time limit, so take your time. But I didn't even know it was an excavation site. Oh well. Try your luck at the excavation site. Come on, Hash Brown, let's go. What's going on? Did you find something, Hash Brown?
We haven't found anything yet at all.
Well, there's a bomb right there. And that's where I'm meant to chuck a bomb at, I assume. Oh, there. Multiple bombs over there. There's a button here. Can you help me dig it out? Sorry, Hash Brown. Follow your Saurian companion.
That looks like it's used by some kind of mechanism.
Can't do this without a Yumkasaur. Do they like provide a Yumkasaur around here somewhere? I might need to grab Kniich. Oh, there. Come over here. Open. Oh, sorry, Hash Brown, but you're locked in. I see. Come back. Infused with phlogiston.
It sounded something like me. Hey, watch out behind you!
the hell is this?
It's still a bowl. It looks kind of like a component or something. You like it?
It's like one of their cores. The batteries. Rawr, rawr.
Though I didn't dig it up. Since we did find it here, it might be something really valuable. Let's ask when we leave.
Go back and ask Creeper. Oh, it's over here. Almost forgot the way out. How did it go?
Hash Brown found this.
Rawr! Let me have a look. Not the most uncommon item, but still a rare find. It is very well preserved with clearly visible phlogiston flow patterns. Yes. Would you be willing to part with it if I gave you 10,000 mora? Hell no.
What? Did we really find the price of Saurian relic? Paimon just knew that Hash Brown was awesome and would bring us good luck.
No, this isn't nearly as precious as you seem to think. Were you to take it to Association headquarters for appraisal, it'd clock in at around 5,000 mora at most.
Paimon's not falling for that trick. If it's only worth 5,000, why are you willing to pay 10,000 for it?
That's because of the unique patterns on it. I'm quite taken with them. Though it may not be that valuable in the eyes of others, I'm willing to pay a bit extra for it. A bit extra? That's a lot extra, that's double. You may call me eccentric, but you could also say it's just the nature of a collector.
When you put it like that, Paimon gets it, and 10,000 is quite a lot compared to the entrance fee. So shall we trade it in for 10,000?
Oh, Hash Brown's sad.
You don't seem too happy about that, Hash Brown. Do you want to keep it for yourself?
Rawr, rawr. No, you were the one who found it. Guess you want to be a collector too, huh?
Since Hash Brown doesn't want to sell, well, then we'll just have to keep it.
Rawr. Looks like you value Hash Brown far more than Mora.
Naturally. He's our companion after all. But if we find something similar in the future...
Thank you, but a collector's passion is as fickle as the tides. It rises as suddenly as it might retreat. Perhaps I'll find myself obsessing over something else in the future, though I can't yet say what my new interest will be. Rawr! Rawr! Rawr!
Are you agreeing with her, Hash Brown? Oh, Paimon gets it. This must be the mutual respect and understanding shared by collectors.
It is my honor to have been acknowledged by such a brilliant young Tapetlosaurus. Still, even if we can't do business, that doesn't mean we can't be friends. Feel free to come and find me if you ever want to talk about collecting. I won't keep you any longer, then. Good luck.
What's wrong, Hash Brown? Is there something you want to tell us? Maybe he's tired. We should take a break. Paimon has an idea. Why don't we relax in the place where we first met? Alright, Toribito. Let's go.
So it's these two quests that barred me entry to this one. Son of a bitch. Hey, Creeper. You're back. Do as you please. I don't think you'll find anything of worth here, though. As I please? What? About the Saurian Relics Association. I'm simply here to stand guard over the excavation site. Perhaps a better way to put that might be, the only reason I'm here standing guard is so that I don't have to answer questions like that. If you want to know more, the Stadium of the Sacred Flame would be a better starting point. Or find a member who's willing to tell you who they are before you've even asked. I'm sure they'd be delighted to answer your questions. No. About the value of collecting. Perhaps its true purpose is simply the joy of collecting itself. Whether most other collectors would see eye to eye with me on this, I couldn't say. But nowadays, the sight of rows of neatly arranged collectibles fills me with nothing but sheer boredom. If you ask me, it's high time we pass this burden on to someone else. We should be out there looking for something new, something exciting, something capable of actually inspiring people once again. Goodbye. Goodbye then. Another word for collectors is hoarders, so yeah. They've finally done it.
Where were you supposed to rest in that area?
Rawr. Return to where you first met your companion.
Hash Brown? Where did you get this camera?
All the collectibles are here. Hey, Hashma Brown. Rawr, rawr.
Hey, Hash Brown? Where'd you get this camera from? Did you sneak up on someone and... No way.
Rawr, 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 rawr. That move looks familiar. It's the mighty meaty fireball.
Oh, isn't that the mighty meaty fireball? Back in the Children Echoes, wasn't there this guy who wanted to be a director but used his camera the wrong way around? Is that where you got your camera?
Rawr, hey, rawr.
You wanna take a picture with us, right? Paimon gets you.
Rawr.
Yeah, we've been adventuring for so long but haven't taken any pictures together. Now that the little one's curse has been lifted, it can finally grow up big and strong. Or he can finally grow up big and strong. Thomas isn't sure how long it takes for Tibetasaurus to grow up. If Hash Brown turns into an adult tomorrow, you won't be able to see him as a baby anymore.
Yeah, let's take it.
Come on, let's take that picture. Master photographer Paimon set everything up. This should be just right. The camera's definitely facing us. Everyone say mighty meaty fireball in 3, 2, 1.
Mighty meaty fireball. Rawr. There we go.
There we go. Well, Hash Brown is really striking an impressive pose.
Rawr. Hash Brown takes one of the photographs, turns around and carefully tucks it beneath the hard shell on his back. Oh, those are his pockets.
But why did Hash Brown suddenly want to take a picture? What's wrong, Hash Brown? Are you feeling unwell? Doesn't look very happy.
Hash Brown, you want to set off on your own adventure?
Huh? Your own adventure? Don't you want to keep traveling with us? Uh-oh. Did Paimon do something to make you mad? But Paimon won't call you greedy again. Please, don't leave us.
Paimon.
Paimon knows. Everyone's gotta grow up someday. And everyone has places they want to go. But Paimon doesn't want to say goodbye. Not all of a sudden like this.
Don't cry. We'll meet again someday.
Really? When we need help in the future, you better come find us right away, Hash Brown. And if you're ready to trouble on your adventures, Hash Brown, you can come find us then too. Don't try to act tough. Don't eat too much, and don't pick fights you can't win. Paimon said not to eat too much, but you should still eat plenty of meat stew. And the most important thing of all is that you should
grow up happy and healthy.
Yeah, happy and healthy and big. So you're the size of at least 3 mountains. Yep, that's the spirit. Don't you dare forget about us.
Lastly, you linger briefly on the one who communicates in strange golden script. As Paimon puts it, he was just using us. He never even showed his face. It makes you think back to the complex mix of emotions reflected in the eyes of our young Saurian companion at the foot of the sacred mountain. Now, though he is still small, he will surely grow up to become a mighty Saurian indeed. I wonder if he'll actually become an actual dragon with wings. Not just a bigger Tapetlosaur. In the end, in the very, very end, he presses his horn against Paimon's forehead, before nuzzling tenderly at your outstretched palm. Then, after a long pause in which he seems to be mustering up the courage, the young Saurian resolutely turns around and plods off into the distance. Then you will be free. Photo with travel companions.
Have an awesome adventure.
Apparently, if I come here the next day, this egg will be hatched or whatever. Then we can get a Saurian companion at Esteria Pot. Yeah, finally finished that. It would have been better if it was finished when I finished the Sacred Mountain. There was just those 2 quests right here that I didn't see. I mean, they're not marked on the map, so unless I went right over them, I would not know that they were part of his little quest. That's the problem with these. Maybe with the correct Pyroculus or any Oculus placement, it could guide me better, because I missed those. Anyway, time to do the event. Rhythm Ball Metzli. Let's finish it off. Got a challenge. Or maybe I should read a bit before I do this. Maybe I should, right? Alright, let's go back to our good friend, the captain. I was reading some books. Gotta finish the equipment. There are materials that I could read. Sure. Living beings too. Should I do living beings instead? Or should I continue with books, or should I do some materials? I'll do books. Let's do these two. The Tale of Koilor and Ukuku. 1 volume. The long volume. A long-standing Natlan folktale that was originally told orally. As such, there is no way of knowing who the original author was. Long, long ago, that dim star was as bright as all the other stars you now see. Yet the lives of the tribespeople were much the same as they are in the present day. To you, this way of life may seem overly familiar, perhaps nothing special, even lacking in excitement. But for Koilor, who lived on that star, it was anything but ordinary. Though the star that Koilor lived on was the one that was closest to the tribes, yet still she was estimably far away from her brothers and sisters. Like you, she was always full of curiosity for things she didn't understand, just as we who live on the ground gaze up in awe at the starry sky. She too would often look down with great interest upon the tribes on the ground. But one day, Koilor leaned too far forward and accidentally fell from the sky. Falling to the ground, the star lost its former brilliance, and her power shattered into fragments that were scattered across the land. Her father, the sun, had entrusted her with this power, exhorting her to guard it carefully. But now, without that power, she could never again return to the sky. Koilor reflected upon how, when she was simply observing it from the star, life on the ground had seemed so fascinating to her. Yet now that she had to give up her original life and become part of it, it all seemed far less satisfying. For a long time, Koilor wandered alone, facing many dangers, for the wilderness back then was far more perilous than it is now. Yet despite her tribulations, she found nothing. Later, by utter chance, she met Ukuku, a hunter from the tribe, and things began to change. Ukuku was a fierce warrior, as strong and silent as a bear. Upon learning of Koilor's plight, he agreed to help her search for the scattered shards of her star, then send her back home. He prided himself on his skills as a hunter, both his prowess in the chase and, of course, his mastery of the art of tracking too. So side by side they set off on their roamings. They climbed high mountains and scaled great peaks, ventured into deep ravines and gloomy caverns, and in the process defeated hordes of enemies and made schools of friends. Under Ukuku's watchful guidance, Koilor grew accustomed to life on the ground. Just like you and me, perhaps even better than some of us, she hunted, fought, and rested with Saurians, recounted the incredible stories she had heard from the mouths of the storytellers to the children of the tribe, ate tacos and chased after the Manitou. Yet occasionally, on these nights back then unlit by glowing graffiti, the stars in the night sky would suddenly remind her of her distant home. Now she was even further from her brothers and sisters. Did they miss her too? After years of fruitless searching, Koilor began to wonder. Perhaps in the same way that she had become part of the tribe, her lost power had long since been found. Perhaps the birds, beasts, and insects and snakes had claimed it for their own. When she asked the cuckoo if he had grown tired of chasing such an elusive goal, the only answer he gave was a short sorry. What a tongue-tied hunter, she thought to herself. Yet his heart is kind. Besides, they had been searching blindly from the very start, and it was by any reckoning a difficult task. And besides, it really had nothing to do with the cuckoo from the first. So his apology was utterly misplaced. Thinking back on how this quiet hunter had taken such good care of her, Coiler could only marvel at his kindness. Later on, Coiler and the cuckoo were to form a family together, settling down in a corner of the tribe. And to think, the young children of the tribe had not the slightest inkling that one of their neighbors had fallen from the stars. Coiler had always been of a cheerful disposition, and when things happened that could not be helped, she simply let them be. Their homeland was now far out of reach. The twinkling stars seemed to greet her as if they were her brothers and sisters themselves, and so she was content. But a cuckoo, whose wish had seemingly come true, became even more silent and gloomy than before. Some said it was just his nature, while others speculated that he was haunted by guilt as a result of having failed to fulfill his promise to Coiler. Such theories have their merits, but as you know, when someone harbors an unspeakable secret, they tend to appear melancholy, and this was certainly the case with the cuckoo. Did he already find it by his hiding it from her? Or what exactly was this secret that a cuckoo was hiding? Forgive me, I must keep you in suspense for now, and instead return to the matter of neighbors. It is said that a relative far off is less helpful than a neighbor close by, and in the tribe we always rely on the support of our neighbors and friends. As bad luck would have it, their neighbor, Pachika, was a troublemaker who had gotten along with a cuckoo. He had always tried to make things difficult for a cuckoo. But as long as a cuckoo ignored him, things never escalated. So before Coiler's arrival, they managed to coexist. But Coiler's presence ignited a spark of jealousy in Pachika. And once that spark was lit, it could not be easily extinguished. The cuckoo is a kind person, and kind people always put the needs of others above their own. Of course, Pachika was well aware of what the other tribespeople thought of a cuckoo. But he clearly saw things differently. What a bore he is, complete and utter bore. But I can use his kindness against him, and in the end it will save me much trouble. Pachika's plan was very simple. He would from time to time speak badly of a cuckoo in front of Coiler, adding a bit of color here and there, embellishing his stories and malicious barbs. You might wonder how such a clumsy trick would work, but do not forget, the extreme reticence, even gloominess that a cuckoo had shown of late, could be hard to bear for someone whose origins were as special as Coiler's. Ah, look at you, like a bird that has had its wings clipped. When he was talking to Coiler, Pachika always took on an air of intimacy. He's always been like this. Whenever he found a bird he liked, he'd clip its wings and stop it from flying away, then lock it in a cage. Pitiful, truly pitiful. At first, Coiler paid no attention to her vindictive neighbor's gossip, but after years of hearing it time and time again, she could not help but begin to have doubts. She longed to know what was in Cuckoo's heart, but neither did she want to make a big deal out of nothing, so she tried probing with a few comments disguised as playful remarks. Yet always the cuckoo seemed unwilling to engage, either dodging her questions or simply adopting his usual gloomy demeanor, and answering only with heavy silence. Now let us return to the secret that a cuckoo had kept hidden within his heart. Everything he did only served to deepen Coiler's suspicions, and she was the type that liked to get to the bottom of things. After all, if it wasn't for that, she would never have fallen from her star in the first place. Under the pressure of her questioning, a cuckoo soon confessed his secret. It turned out that the course of their past travels together had indeed found some star shards. In other words, the goal that had always seemed so elusive to Coiler was not entirely without its clues. But by that time, a cuckoo had already developed feelings for her, and he knew that when the day came, then all the shards had been found, Coiler would return to the stars, and they would never see one another again. As I see it, it is hard for anyone to persist in something that goes against their nature for long, and a cuckoo was no exception to this rule. When he finally revealed his innermost secret, it was as if a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders, and even the gloom on his face seemed to lessen. Yet having heard his confession, Kola felt only sadness and anger. Deceit and betrayal were things she had never before known, but now she understood their bitter pang. She really was a bird whose wings had been clipped. Thinking back, thinking such a thought only served to convince Kola that Akuku's actions could not be forgiven. And as we all know, though it takes great time to build deep trust, it can be destroyed in an instant. Kola demanded that Akuku hand over the star shards he had hidden, but Akuku refused. He could not bear the thought of parting with her, still believing that as long as he kept her close, there was always a chance that he might turn things around. But this was a vain idea. For as we all have our limits when it comes to forgiveness, and these vary from person to person, so for Kola did the buck stop at the deceit and betrayal. Ignoring his pleas, Kola left the tribe she had once considered home, returning to the same wilderness she had wandered when she first fell down to the ground. But this time it was different. She knew what she had to do. Like a true person of Nightland, she left a huge work of graffiti on the vast expanse of land. How big was it? No, it can now be seen no longer. It is said that those who witnessed it at the time remarked that it might well have been bigger than a volcano. You could not have missed such a gigantic piece of graffiti, even if you were gazing down from the sun itself. And indeed, that was her intention. Let her lost power be, she thought to herself. Whether hidden by a cuckoo or claimed by the birds, beasts, and insects and snakes, it mattered not. But she could always turn to her father, the one who had bestowed this power upon her in the first place, and was willing to accept any punishment that might come her way. And lo, Koiler's sun father saw her plea, quickly bringing her back to the sky. That star that had lost its power became dim, and was now almost invisible unless you looked very closely. Would Koiler still look down at the land, observing the lives of the people below as she once did? I do not know the answer to that, but what is certain is that she was reunited with her many brothers and sisters, returned to a place that even the mightiest Ictomosaurus could not reach. As for Ikuku, who had been left behind, his deceit and betrayal angered the sun. As punishment, he was blinded by the sun's golden arrows. From then on, wherever he went, the sun would retreat behind the clouds, leaving him without a trace of sunlight. Even their child Kuntor, who was still very young at the time, was affected by this. As a result, he was unable to form a single friendship with any Saurian until he had grown up to be a young man. But as for Kuntor's adventures thereafter, well, that is another story entirely. Kuntor. The Tale of Kuntor is next. Need some water. I'll finish up the Tale of Kuntor, then I'll do the event. Then I'll return to some books, I guess. Or whatever. A long-standing Nightland folktale that was originally recounted orally. Okay. After Koilo had returned to the skies, Ukuku, blinded by the sun's golden arrows, remained within the tribe, raising their still young Kuntor alone. All within the tribe knew why this had happened, and though they did not banish father and son, who had naught save each other to depend on, from their midst, they still feared and shunned them. Kuntor, who had then could not even speak, became dragged into all this, like his taciturn father. Whosoever he trod, the sun would retreat behind a thick layer of clouds, depriving the world of its light. Who then could say if the sun's ire would not also fall upon those close to them? None of the tribe's people dared to brave such misfortune. Is Kuntor also Koilo and Ukuku's son? Or is it Ukuku and someone else? Kuntor grew all the same, unloved though he was by the sun. But just as the fruits in front of his house were smaller by far than his neighbors, he was a weak specimen compared to other youths his age. This poor child never knew the touch of the warm sun upon his skin, so he was sickly pale as opposed to ruddy as his peers were. But his eyes shone like the stars. just like his mother's. It was those bright, staring eyes that had first drawn his father in, that had driven him to make his foolish decisions, bringing judgment upon himself. Ah. So Kuntor is Coiler's son. So she just left him? Could any Ictomosaurus not like basking in the sun? Kuntor asked Ukuku one day. Ukuku did not reply, and merely whittled his arrows in silence. Though blind, he was a fine hunter still. It was only natural for Kuntor to ask such questions, for in those days which child of the tribe was not inseparably bound to their Saurian companion? Kuntor thus wished for a companion of his own, but it was evident that no Ictomosaurus would willingly live in the shadows. Though they may be more active at night, we know that they would never assent to being utterly deprived of sunlight. Kuntor searched long and hard, but he could not find an Ictomosaurus who loved not the sun to be his companion. As for Ukuku, his father and sole support, he only cared for hunting and feeding his son, giving no thought to Saurian companionship. This was little wonder, for Ukuku's own companion had chosen to be Coilor's helper when she left the tribe, returning to the wilds with her. Ukuku had grown used to being without such a companion, just as he was now used to having neither sight nor sunlight. He even thought that Kuntor might also grow accustomed to this and cease asking, and so remained silent in response. Fortunately, Kuntor was only half alike to his father, or the story would have ended here. He was never the sort to take things lying down, and he was certainly not going to let people make him a laughingstock for failing to find an Ictomosaurus companion. All those children who mocked him received their due reply, albeit with fists rather than words. In the beginning, he always lost, which was quite understandable. He was small and his fists lacked strength. As they watched him sit on the ground, dust and dirt caking his face, the children who laughed at him laughed all the harder. But slowly, they no longer did so. Nor did jokes at his expense come so freely from their lips, for they found that Kuntor learned quickly, and his strength surged in pursuit of theirs, such that his fists were persuasive indeed, even in the absence of a Saurian companion. But Kuntor was not satisfied with merely reducing loud mockery into low murmuring. He knew now that strength could at least force half-grown children to give the appearance of acquiescence, but he still lacked a Saurian companion of his own and remained unloved by the sun. Though many adults in the tribe were neither hostile nor friendly toward him, he did not like the looks in their eyes. And so Kuntor decided to do something remarkable to prove himself. If he did that, no one would ever look down on him again, and surely there would be a Saurian willing to be his companion. His chance came soon. One day an old man in ragged clothing came to the tribe, asking for water. The people took pity on him, and one of them invited them into their home. "We are all kind-hearted people here. You must have come from a faraway place, dear guest, to stay and enjoy our hospitality. Indeed, you are all kind people. In that case, treat me to the best you have. I'm starving over here." The master of the house did indeed provide the best food to the guests, but 7 days and 7 nights later, the guest was still not satiated. "Is there anything else while he's there?" Now, don't be shy. Serve it all up." The master of the house would kindly ask the guest to leave, though not because he had nothing left to be eaten, but because he needed to consider his family and himself. "I have put him up and had him fed and feasted for 7 days, proving my kindness of heart. Now it is someone else's turn." Yeah, you can only do so much. Kindness is a pleasant word, especially when used to describe oneself, and so the tribespeople gave this ragged old man all manner of things, but none could satisfy his bottomless desire. In the end, all could do nothing but shake their heads, wave their hands, and ask him to depart. Only Kuntor's house did not entertain the old man. "You're a kind soul too, so what will you host me with?" No one has ever called me kind. I have nothing to share with you, and even if I had, I shan't give you any. You've eaten, drank, and taken more than enough." Seeing how Kuntor chased the old man away with many of the tribe Many in the tribe could not help but ridicule him again, but none could have anticipated that this old fellow dressed in tatters was the infamous sorcerer Rumi in disguise. Those who had promised him hospitality yet could not satisfy his appetites, he bewitched with his dark arts. And by the time they awoke from their nightmares, he had long since captured all their Saurians, leading them away. Many in the tribe had already heard the terrible rumors concerning Rumi, and while none could say what terrible scheme he meant to carry out with their Saurians, all knew that failing to stop him would bode ill. To seize their Saurians back, the tribe sent forth their 3 mightiest warriors to challenge him, but they did not return. Even the best warrior is no match for the sorcerer Rumi without Saurian aid, and just as the tribe had lost their confidence, Kuntor stepped forth to volunteer himself. Yes, him, Kuntor, unloved by the sun, one who had never gained a Saurian companion. Now none believed he would succeed, but neither did any bar his path. Good thing I've got nothing to lose. At least he cannot take from me what I never had. Thus thinking, Kuntor set out on his journey with great confidence. As Kuntor made his way forward, Rumi's spells summoned up layers of mist around the warrior. He knew that Kuntor was hated by the sun, and so could count on no sunbeams to scare the mist for him and light the way. But Kuntor had learned the hunting arts of his blind father since he was a boy. He is born from the darkness. Though he was as good as blind, sounds and smells guided the way for him, and the magically manifested mists could not snare him. Molded by it. One ploy having failed, the sorcerer Rumi deployed another, sending forth 3 talking packpackers to come before Kuntor with both threats and temptations. Packpackers? These 3 packpackers were the 3 warriors of the tribe sent forth, who had each been defeated due to their own weakness and turned into this form by Rumi. They did not believe Kuntor, unloved by the sun, to be superior to them, and so they spoke the very deceptions and Rumi had snared them with, attempting to trick Kuntor. But Kuntor could not fall for such trickery. His father had been punished for deceit and betrayal, and so he hated all liars most bitterly, and could only see through them at a glance. Having had their ruse exposed, the warriors were enraged and tried to block Kuntor's path, upon which he had no choice but to persuade them to step aside by force, with fists. Thus did Kuntor pass through numerous trials until he finally found the sorcerer Rumi, and also laid eyes upon the captured Saurians. The sorcerer put his evil arts to use once more, attempting to frighten Kuntor, but even towering waves and running lava could not scare Kuntor, much less these illusory traps made through spellcrafts, so akin to the fog he had encountered at the bottom of the valley earlier. His wicked spells had no effect on Kuntor. Spellbind on, but the captured Saurians were not similarly immune, and so Rumi used his spellcraft to turn them into his service. Yet he did not expect even them to not be a match for Kuntor. Your fists are tougher than the hardest stones I've seen. None would want to go hand at hand against such fists, and Rumi was no different. Realizing that he was on the back foot, he no longer cared for the Saurians he had stolen from the tribe. Turning into a cloud of smoke, he fled in defeat. Capable though Kuntor was of discerning the sorcerer's traps and lies, he could do nothing against his foe now that he had turned into smoke. But how could he back down? He intended to prove himself to everyone at the tribe by doing this extraordinary thing, and so he made up his mind to capture Rumi, no matter what it took or what he had to do. At that moment he saw the still-bound Ectomosaurs, and he thought, since Rumi had been able to command them using mystical arts, perhaps he might use force to compel an Ectomosaurus to help him track Rumi's down and pick out his manifestation. The poor creatures were still under the influence of the spell as he unshackled them, and so they struggled and screamed. It took Kuntor a lot of effort to calm them down, and as to which was the bravest of the lot, Kuntor had recognized at a glance. Alright, now then, you're coming with me, and we're going to track down Rumi the sorcerer, for my honor and also for the warriors who were turned into packpackers. The Ectomosaurus seemed unconvinced and tried to break free, but Kuntor held it fast, and he could not move. Yet looking into the creature's sad eyes made even fearless Kuntor shudder. Of course, he could tame the Saurian this way, but were he to do so? how different would he be from the wicked sorcerer? So after only a moment's hesitation, he made up his mind. Fly then. Go where you please. The Ectomosaurus spread its wings and flew off the moment Kuntor let go, swiftly disappearing over the horizon. And so Kuntor went in pursuit of Rumi alone. The released Saurians could not speak human language, of course, and glory unwitnessed is no glory at all. Thus was Kuntor's first step on his journey to prove himself, also his most anxious one. For Rumi had long transformed into smoke, drifting far away to places unknown. He had also heard the rumors that the tribe's storytellers and well-informed messengers had brought of Rumi, and guessing that he might turn into an animal to avoid pursuit, he wrestled long-necked rhinos and stared down grasshoppers all along his path, but to no avail. It seemed that without an Ectomosaurus companion's aid, the search for the sorcerer would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. But Kuntor had inherited more than just star-like eyes from Koilor. And just as his mother had once wandered from the wilderness, searching tirelessly for star-shod traces, Kuntor too did not despair of the chase for Rumi, and the confidence he had set out from the tribe with never dimmed, until the day he heard a familiar cry. It was that of an Ectomosaurus he recognized. Indeed, it was the one he'd released, the boldest in the tribe, one who also lacked a companion. It had left him, but now it had returned. We do not know why it did so, but we can be sure that Ectomosaurs are most intelligent creatures, who choose their partners. Surely then Kuntor had earned its recognition, which is why it returned and willingly showed Kuntor the way. With the aid of the Ectomosaurs, even the wily Rumi was no match. The sorcerer even attempted to take a brown deer's form to escape Kuntor, only to find that the hunter was just as swift as he. On the brink of being caught, Rumi transformed into a capybara and dived into the water. How secretly pleased he was with himself when he thought that Kuntor might not be a good swimmer. Surely he would escape, yet Kuntor's Ectomosaurus companion was not merely brave, but blessed with the wisdom as well. It flapped its wings in the air, summoning forth a cyclone. Kuntor rode that wind, and his footsteps grew swift and light, as if his feet had grown wings, giving him speed no less than that of Rumi. Now a fast-swimming capybara, shocked, Rumi leapt out of the water, transforming into a bird that immediately made for the skies above, which wasn't a good move, if you ask me. If this had been the Kuntor of yesterday, he would have no choice but to give up, but today, things were different. His Ectomosaurus companion carried him up and up through the clouds, and at last they caught the cunning sorcerer. Realizing that there was no way out, Rumi simply turned himself into a giant rock. Surely Kuntor could do nothing about him now. Yet the young warrior grabbed the giant rock and could not let go, crying, "Fly, higher, my friend, higher!" And so higher and higher they flew, until they soared above the very highest cloud layer. And there Kuntor beheld the sun for the first time. But before he could say anything, the sun brought forth cloud layers more and thicker to surround them. Kuntor and his companions had no choice but to try to find a way out, bursting through the thunder, rain, and storm in the cloud layers as they went. The great heights were frigid indeed, and even Kuntor's eyelids were swathed in frost, while the rock that Rumi had transformed into was frozen solid. Never again would his foul magic wreak havoc. Having overcome trial after trial, Kuntor and his companion returned to the tribe, telling everyone about their marvelous experience. After that, the stone that Rumi had turned into was placed into a suitable location. The three warriors had been turned into pakpakas by the sorcerer and themselves restored to human form. As before, they gave Kuntor a wide berth, but out of shame and regret rather than disgust and fear. For they had not thought then to use despicable lies to trick him. Thus did Kuntor prove himself to his tribe and win glory. But more importantly to him, he finally had an Ectomosaurus companion of his own. I wonder if there's actually such a rock in the... Masters of the Nightwind. Forgot the names for us again? No, wait. Let's do some event stuff to cool down. I should use cryo. God damn it. It's all missing. Isn't that all of them? Yeah. I gotta take the rewards, then you'll get the tick. Alright. Ah, shit. Oh, my balls. Oh, there we go. Nice. Oh, that's done. Hey, Jack. Wonder if there's any follow-up conversation with them.
ねえねえみずき、聞いてよ。さっきアミナと話したんだけど、イベントが始まってから流線の州の観光客が4割も増えたんだって。そんなに宣伝してないのにだよ。それはよかった。こっちもいい知らせがあるよ。
Have a little
ここ最近
nightclub
心
over
理
here.
療法を受けに来るお客さんが前の10分の1に減ったの。つまりこのイベントで気分転換とリラックスの場を提供して悩みを忘れてもらうって目標は達成できたみたい。次はイベントをもっと大きくしよう。ビートボールだけじゃなくてもういくつか新しいゲームを追加してさ。そしたらリラックスしたいお客さんには温泉や日光浴を楽しんでもらって、盛り上がりたい人にはゲームを遊んでもらうの。これぞ流線の州の最高のバカンスだよね。
They should bring the collective plenty into this and have like buffets. And this will be the dream location for every Tevatian, I guess.
よっ、わらにみずき。
The musical genius has returned. Two happy visitors here to give you a 5-star review.
お、その表情と言葉からもうビンビン伝わってるよ。満足してもらえたんだね。もちろんだぞ。たっぷり遊べただけじゃなくお腹いっぱい食べられたしな。
Now the buffet was already here.
あのバイキング。温泉タイムを5人前もいただいちゃったぜ。ビートボールで遊んでたこいつはご飯を食べてる時のオイラよりも勢いが凄まじかったぞ。
Eh? No, nothing compared to your obsession with food. Eh?
ビートボールを
she
やってる
didn't
時
do
の
anything.
君を見
I
た
thought
け
she
ど
would react.
思わず手に汗握っちゃったよ。テクニックもすごかったね。次またイベントをやるときは一緒に企画を考えてほしいな。君の好きなゲームをいくつか作ってみんなに楽しんでもらおうよ。うん、それは旅人の得意分野らしいしね。私もまた一緒に協力できる日を楽しみにしてるよ。いっそ旅人はムアラニの顧問に立候補したらどうかな。この近くに部屋も借りてさ。ナイスアイデア。空いてる部屋がないか聞いてみるよ。そうだ、せっかくだし水木のお店の隣は空いてないかな。いいね。そしたらみんなご近所さんだ。
Man, I want to live here too. Well, tell me the people of the Springs. Count us in. I'm not sure about living here. Like, I would definitely love to visit here.
毎日温泉バイキングでお腹いっぱい食べられるようになるのか。決まった住所があればあんたたちを探すのも楽になるしね。いいじゃん。まさかうちが人を探す方の立場になって考える日が来るとはね。あ、シロネン。ビートボールの選曲どれも良かったぜ。遊んでると勝手に体が動いちゃったぞ。気に入ってもらえてよかったよ。ここ数日見てて分かったけど、あんたたちはミュージシャンと DJ 両方の素質を持ってるっぽいね。多分いろんな文化の音楽を聴いてきたからかな。メロディーを聴くと自然とリズムをつかめるみたい。最先端の音楽は多種多様な要素を取り入れる傾向にある。もしかしたらいつかあんたたちに音楽のアドバイスもらう日が来るかもね。これ受け取って暇な時にでも聞いてみてよ。これは
Our own mixtape. Shilonen's note. More reading? According to my observations, musical styles on the cutting edge of theory tend to lean towards fusion, absorbing elements from multiple perspectives that are in tension with one another, such as composition, instrumentation, and tone. through which composers of such music make breakthroughs and find new ways to improve. Traditional musical styles never had clear boundaries in the first place, and those are blurring even ever further. Reaching the pinnacle of one's music and technique is an admirable deed, but for creators who have yet to obtain the level of a master for life, and ordinary audiences both sticking to a single style is not wise if one wishes to improve one's musical appreciation and creativity. Technology and human ears all have limits, and it would undoubtedly be a pity to stray into territory that no one can follow you into, chasing after complex or unpopular harmonies or developing machine-esque performance techniques. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the songs on this disc. And if you don't intend to create any music, it'd be great to introduce yourself to a few new styles and discover new moving melodies. Oh, is this original or is this in-game stuff? It is a mixtape. Records. She has their record shop.
のおすすめするレコードや楽器が手に入らなくて悩んでるお客さんがいたよ。うちで特別な治療をしてあげたっけ。水木ってそんな症状までどうにかできるんだ。彼女の負の感情を和らげて、それからレコード店でのバイトを進めただけだけどね。そうすれば真っ先に最新情報を手に入れられるし、君のおすすめを見逃すこともないでしょ。
Must be like music.
でもその裏技はあんま広めないでやってあげて。
Well, thanks for this. I'll give it a good listen.
だな。時間を見つけてシロネンのおすすめをたくさん聞いておこうぜ。いつかゲームを作るってなった時に、今回みたいな乗れる音楽を選べるようにならないとな。
じゃあ次に会う時はみんなをあっと言わせるような企画の出し合いっこだね。約束だよ。
まだ今回のイベントが終わってないのに、もう次が楽しみになってきたぜ。なんだかこのまま流星の州に住みたくなってきたぞ。
Fusion Profusion. DJ Remix Selections. What is it here? No, is it here? Ah, it's the picture. Photo with travel companions. A photo of you and your travel companions. A memento of a land where humans and saurians coexist. Though our paths may eventually diverge, the memories we create together shall never fade. Very nice. Here's the mixtape. Fusion Profusion's DJ Remix Selections. Series of songs handpicked by Shilonen that have earned her recognition. A selection truly unique to Natlan includes a Master Shilonen commemorative photo, commissioned by several DJs. However, it seems that this record can only sound its best on professional equipment such as the dance-off stage, and using unsuitable equipment may damage the disc's surface. In any case, it makes for one-of-a-kind collector's item and keepsake. You can only read it, you can't play it. Plus we don't have the DJ, we don't have this to play it. Alright, anything new to say before I head off? No, nothing new. No more interactions? Nothing else left? Alright. Let's continue with the reading. What was I up to? Books. Yeah. Maui Manatu. Records of Hanan Pancha. Fires of Autumn Twilight. Mount Lingmeng. Mount Lingmeng, that's Leah. Headless Kokotao. Toki Alleys. It's not finished yet, so. 1,000 Nights. I don't think this finished either. Maybe it is. What's this book from? 1,000 Nights. Oh, it is finished. Wandering researcher once walked through a rainforest, desert, and city during a time of great catastrophe, collecting these stories along the way. It said that the original work truly did contain countless tales, and that naught but a fragment of that is still extant today. Might be Sumeru. Yeah, it's probably Sumeru. Maybe I'll read the Sumeru and the one. I don't have Men of Lithin. I gotta look into that. But this one seems shorter, so let's do this one first. Mount Lingmeng. Need some water first. Mount Lingmeng Gossip. A book about the local folklore and ballads of Chenyu Vale. It contains many far-fetched folk legends. Okay. Legend has it that in the depths of the mountains of Chenyu Vale, where the water lotuses and jade lilies thrive, when the rain falls and fog gathers in the dawn and dusk hours, looming shadows of the past will sometimes emerge. According to the village elders, those who dwelled in Mount Lingmeng once worshipped many supernatural beings, walking alongside the spirit elders of fairies, birds, and beasts within the wild mountain. But in that earth-shaking chaotic war, 1,000 years before those gods, fairies, and former inhabitants alike disappeared. Even so, the sentimental mountains retain the echoing memories of the ley lines, and thus they sometimes repeatedly appear at dawn or at night. When fog and rain blanketed the land, sometimes herb gatherers and jade artisans will lose their way in this fog and encounter these solitary shadows. As the village elders tell it, an encounter with the ancient fallens is often an ill-starred omen, a sign of unexpected disaster. The ley lines, having accumulated until growing into tumors, bring forth these ancient regrets and mysteries into the present world, and that is why there is fog and rain unceasing. And that is also why the mountain people avoid both, like the plague, to avoid becoming entangled in spirit by those ancient sorrows. Even so, after Rex Lapis completed his great deed of pacifying the land and sea, purveyors from Lear Harbor would blunder into the fog and rain, disturbing those dreams of old. But that is another tale. In the days after Rex Lapis brought peace into mountain and forest, a marina once entered the crisscrossed streams beneath the mountain and became lost in the damp dust fog. On a bamboo raft, this person passed waterweeds that glowed a faint blue and purple, past tree and bush bedecked in falling flowers, and followed azure avians, never before seen even in dreams, before coming unto and into the cavern of slumber. Through the jade glow and the ghostly light of fungi, the marina gazed with entranced eyes upon the inhabitants of old. A veritable parade of mountain ghosts they seemed. In ancient cotton robes they were garbed, and the hems of their clothes were adorned with jade as clear as light playing upon the water. And with nameless fragrant plants, lined up and standing on the bank of a deep pool, they sang a song the marina had never heard before. How mine malice lurks lonesome in the dying light of day. How the hateful wind bears the rain. How the deep fog veils. None remained save a lone bird lamenting lost years. Alas, alas, you came too late. Sad was the song and quiet. tinged with seeming resentment. The mariner looked closely at the faintly glowing figures in the cavern, and lo, one by one they removed their jades and threw them into the pitch-black pool, as if never having noticed the presence of a visitor at all. Descending despondency drove the mariner's paddle on the return journey to Chaoying village, but not before leaving markings along the path. It is said that Yuhai Pavilion would later send surveyors here to search for any mysterious settlements, and some also say that Millelith also deployed troops into the deep mountains to search for any hideouts of illicit nature, but all without success. When Lan Jing, the famed doctor of Yilong Wolf, was yet a youth, he entered Mount Lingmeng to explore the legendary mysterious cavern in search of ancient prescriptions, but after his return he would never again speak of the matter. It was only following his passing that his family found an inkstone within his personal effects. Legend has it that it was the color of clear waters and bright as the high heavens, and yet with the doctor's death, the origins of this inkstone could no longer be verified. Much later, the descendants of this famous physician would go bankrupt due to the poor management of their merchant shipping business. Not now, Tori. And thus was this inkstone lost amidst the morass of humanity, its whereabouts unknown thereafter. Songs have long circulated in Chenyu Vale that tell of an ancient cave within which a demon lord from past beyond reckoning once hid. They said that she wore a skirt of coagulated jade blood and leaned on the long destroyed lunar chariot. A lunar chariot? What? Submerged and slumbering beneath a black bottomless pool of water. In these eons that memory has nigh forgotten, she was the mistress of Chenyu Vale, who ruled the birds and beasts and the adepti of wild mountain nature, who controlled the ebb and flow of the Bishui River, who as an arbiter maintained the natural balance between mortals and humans. But those are tales from long ago, and though both folk indigenous and migrant tell tales of how she started a war of incurable obsession before ultimately being defeated and sealed and plunged into deathly dreaming slumber. The relevant historical details can now no longer be verified. The sole piece of evidence that supports this tale is a song of lamentation that Chenyu Vale locals once sang. Thou wish to gift you herbs, who shall leave at the sandbank amidst the waters? Where now fly the godly banners? The chariot is lost in the lightless bamboo wood. How terrible the Xuanwen wail, who think upon the darkened pool. Did the proud descendants of the mountain folk yet remember and memorialize their lost god? The most vivid tales have been eroded by flowing time, now only faintly visible in song, like green jade only faintly discernible beneath the waters of a stream. So perhaps just as lost boatmen once witnessed, one might still hear an ancient heart beating, its jade blood pumping, echoing in those boundless depths. Is this the one that wanted to flood Leo? Maybe. And is this the song that the fisherman, that the ferryman sings in Chenyu Vale? Possibly. I'll go visit him after I read the Sumeria book. Oh my god, it's a long book. 1,000 Nights. I'm gonna need some water. The Tale of Those Without Shadows. Once this land was home to a group of people without shadows. Maybe there wasn't any light. They led simple lives, knowing nothing about the world outside the place where they lived. This lasted until one day, when a lost adventurer discovered them. The shadowless folk were shocked to find that the adventurer had a lockstep attendant, silent and loyal. The adventurer too was shocked to see that people lived in a world who could not cast a shadow because of the sunlight. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would make such a discovery, said the adventurer. Dreams? We have not had those in a long time, said one of the shadowless people. Our elders tell us that all dreams have already been dreamed. Shadows hide the secrets of the soul. You have no shadows, and that is why you do not dream, said the adventurer. Perhaps you did once have shadows, just like you once did dream. If that is so, where shall I go to find that which I have lost? Go to the secret forest. Many dreams dwell there, and perhaps those who capture dreams there may have some extras to share with you. Aronara. And so the young shadowless person left his homeland behind, traveling far enough to visit the secret forest the adventurer has spoken of. This forest was filled with layers of shadows, the shadows of the clouds, tree canopies. Even the tiny birds cast large shadows over the soft soil. Day after day he passed between the crossed shadows. Shadows hide the soul's secrets, he thought. And perhaps he was the only one here without any secrets. And so one day he discovered that all dreamscapes were open to him, for he had no dreams. But it was because of this that he could enter the dreams of others. Just like how we experienced in a Subserious festival. In the many dreams he witnessed, the birds dreamed of vivid colors, the tiger of vagrant scents, but he did not see those who captured dreams, nor did he discover the excess dreams that were spoken of. The dreams, the shadows, and the beings that dwelt here could be matched one for one, and so he wondered if the adventurer had cheated him, and if there really was no such thing as masterless dream, just as there was no such thing as a shadow without a source. But just as he was about to admit defeat, the one who kept his dreams found him. The encounter happened within the dream of a seashell. He barged into its ending, searching for the white waves in the salty wind, but neither was to be found in its saddened aftertaste. Just like this shell, you do not belong to this forest. The speaker was a woman, and he quickly realized that she was the dream captor the adventurer spoke of. Now she was the dream captor the adventurer spoke of. Okay. For her shadow had a strange mottled texture, like drapery encrusted with gems. I've been looking for you, he said. Perhaps you have some extra dreams. They passed like the morning dew, she said, and there was no sadness in her voice. Masterless dreams cannot last long. I have tried many times, but they always dissipate in the end. See, just like this seashell, we must both leave. Taking his hand, she led him from this fading dream, bereft of white waves and salty winds. Beside a murmuring brook, she told him a great many stories and taught him how to enter dreams. After that, she warned him multiple times concerning the taboos of dream captors, such as how they should never gaze repeatedly into another's dream, for their secrets are like a bottomless well. The nightmares are more cunning than you can imagine. Once they discover what you have done, they will rise like a swarm and drag you into the darkness. You will not be able to leave that place, the boundary where no shadows are. If you wait long enough, you will be able to make out meaningful words, names that appear in faded memories that no longer belong anywhere. And you know that you must not speak the names of the dead, or they will seek you out. I once believed that none of you had shadows, he said earnestly. I once believed that dream captors did not have their own dreams, which is why they collected those that belonged to others. The woman did not reply, her mottled shadow swaying in the night wind like a leaf. But the young shadowless man was too eager for the answer. And though the dream captor defended the shadows well, he found his chance nonetheless. Unlike the dreams of the forest beings, his dream gates were wide open. There was a rugged path that led to the dream captor's dreamscape. It seemed evident to him that she had hidden her secrets in others' dreams, he thought. But what were her secrets, and whose dreams were these? The dream captor's dream was many-layered, just like the secret forest, and so he lost his way. And before he knew it, the nightmares were upon him. I have broken the dream captor's taboo, but even if I can see that bottomless well, I cannot find my answer, he thought. She said that if I stayed long enough, I might be able to make out a name from their voices. At least that way, I will know whose dream this is. And so he allowed himself to be led into the depths, and just as the woman had warned him, it was a boundless, lightless realm. He listened then for the tiny sounds, hoping to find words that could point to a name. An unknown period of time passed before he finally heard a name amidst the scattered sounds. This sound had a strange, special attraction to him, and he could not help but recite it. Then he opened his eyes. I saw a strange sight, he said. I saw that a woman had entered my dreams and stolen them, stolen secrets of my soul that I didn't know existed. And since that day I no longer had a shadow. And I heard her say this, and she called me. You know, she said, interrupting him, that one should not speak the names of the dead or they will seek you out. The dream captor sat by the murmuring brook, her mottled shadow swaying in the night wind like a leaf. That is but a tale about the dead. I have told you such tales before, but there are many more that have yet to be told. And so the dream captor continued to tell the young man with no shadow a story that none have yet heard. What strangeness! Stealing dreams? Is the Akasha? Anyway, my throat's becoming like sandpaper, so hopefully I can get through the rest of this. About 5 more volumes. The Tale of the Daster. Once upon a time, there was a Vahumana Daster who traveled alone into the desert depths to investigate the ruins of ancient realms. Unfortunately, he encountered a sandstorm and lost his way. But just as he was about to breathe his last, a young woman with amber eyes appeared before him. She parted the howling sands with a staff in her hand and led him out of the desert. It was already noon by the time they reached the village. She treated him to lunch at her home and offered to escort him back to the caravan rebat. But having seen her part the sands as if by some spell, and how she had chased the dark beast along their path away, the Daster refused to leave, instead asking if she could teach him the secret arts of ancient lands. Is Candace? The mage replied that her amber eyes could see all that the living and dead had seen. People without shadows. A bronze clock whose pendulum swings by the river of imagination. Whales that have never left land. A city that only existed by the reflected moonlight upon a silver mirror. A scholar imprisoned within eternity. A high tower hanging upon 7 strings. She could see that he had infinite potential and a boundless future ahead of him, and she was indeed willing to teach him all she knew. She had but one worry, that after learning all, he would seek his own profit and come to deny her. A city that only exists by the reflected moonlight upon a silver mirror. Skull imprisoned within eternity. The Daster knelt to the ground and kissed the tip of her shoes. Oh. Promising that he would never forget what she had done for him no matter what. And that he would never deny her, even if they should then die together. His earnestness touched the young mage, and smiling gently, she helped him up. Holding his hand, she brought him to the door to her basement, saying that she would indeed take him as her disciple, and that all her secrets were hidden in her underground library. Maybe it's not Candace. Maybe Candace's ancestor. And so they walked down the winding stairs, level after level, with a mirror hung on the wall of each level, reflecting their faces in the feeble light of lit sconces. They walked for who knows how long, perhaps several hours, perhaps several minutes, for the darkness had obscured their sense of time. At the end of the stairs was a narrow gate, and beyond the gate was a hexagonal library. He could not see the ceiling, nor could he estimate the height of this room, and the books in here nonetheless far surpassed all he imagined was possible for knowledge. Thinking maybe Layla, but... or maybe Layla's ancestors, but... still, I'm not sure. He learned well under her tutelage. After a few weeks, envoys from the Temple of Silence would come to the Daster to tell him that his mentor had passed on due to illness, and that owing to his thesis passing review, the academia had decided to make an exception for him and promote him to Herbad, that he might take over from his mentor and continue to study to educate more students. The newly appointed Herbad was greatly pleased, and yet he was unwilling to leave yet, and so he carefully asked the mage if she could bring some of her books and come with him to the academia, and there continue to teach him. She agreed to his invitation, but said that she had a sister, had always longed to learn at the academia, but was ultimately not accepted due to her desert heritage. Yeah, it seems more like Candace. Candace aside. She thus asked if the Herbad could take her own as an auditing pupil. The Herbad replied that the academia had a strict testing process and that he could not make exceptions, not even to take someone on as an auditing pupil. The mage for her part said nothing more, simply packing her bags and following him to Sumeru. Several years later, the sage of Vahumana passed on. Thanks to the earth-shattering theses he had been able to write and complete with the aid of the mage. It was unsurprising that the Herbad was recommended to become the new sage. The mage went to congratulate him, and asked if he might take her sister on as an auditing student, now that he had his position as a sage. Of course, he's not going to agree. The newly appointed sage rejected her. He's going to keep rejecting her, saying that he had no duty to do this, for he no longer needed her guidance. Oh boy. Being someone who no longer needed to write theses, he advised her to return to her village and live out the rest of her days in peace. The mage said nothing more. Packing her bags, she returned to the desert. Several years later, the Grand Sage too passed, and the Vahumana sage was selected to take the post. Hearing this news, the mage came hurriedly from the desert. Finding him, she knelt at his feet and kissed the tip of his shoe. Reminding him of the promise he had made her, and begging him to take those of her tribe who had been displaced by the sandstorms and allowing them to have refuge beneath the rainforest. Bower. The Grand Sage was furious and threatened to hurl her into a jail of bronze and leave her to die of starvation and thirst, for he did not know the charlatan of the desert wastes. And who was she, anyway, to coerce the academia? The mage, no longer young, lifted her head, wiping the tears from her cheeks, and looked upon the Grand Sage one last time with her turbid amber eyes. She begged that she might be allowed to return to her village and help her tribespeople. Refusing, the Grand Sage had his soldiers bind her, and so the mage said little more to him, save only this. In that case, I must ask you, sir, to return to your own village. The Grand Sage was startled, and when he had lifted his head, he found himself standing before Caravan Rebat. The night had grown long, and the distant village could no longer be seen clearly, shrouded as it is now in flying dust and sand, and Night's own cloak. The young woman stood before him, smiling, and her amber eyes reflected how he appeared at this moment. A Daster of Vahumana. His thesis had yet to pass review. Well then, the hour is late, and you should return to the academia now. After all, just as the stories say. Oh, that's like a A gifted dream. Like what Rukadavata did. A prophetic dream. That's kind of nice. Volume 3. The Tale of the Prince and the Sumpter Beast. Long, long ago, when Port Ormus was still ruled by the seafaring Days. Days? There was one valiant Day amongst their number. He was the subjugator of countless isles and domains, thus obtaining many curious treasures and becoming second to none in wealth throughout the port. Yet the mariner's life had left him time for but a single son in his latter years, and passed away before the prince would reach adulthood. Day's son had inherited his great wealth, but had no power over those his father had administered. Guided by elders who lacked moral fiber, he quickly began to live the life of a sensuous animal. The prosperous streets of Port Ormus were like a beast that swallowed gold, and so the Day's inheritance was emptied by the princeling within a few years, even saddling him with a massive debt in the process. By the time the prince came to his senses, the walls of his home were bare, with not a single morer to be found within. After selling his estates and dismissing the servants, the prince, with nowhere to go, sought refuge at a shrine to an ancient patron god of mariners, which, through the patronage of his father, in turn had attained its current august stature. The prince asked the shrine's priest for aid thusly. "Wise elder, I was once the son of a Day who conquered the 7 seas, but see, I have fallen this far due to my unconstrained extravagance. I beg that you have mercy upon me and show me a swift way through which I might clear my debts and ransom my estates. I promise that I will change for the better and become a man who knows my place." "Young prince," the priest said, "the fates of mortals have long been ordained by the gods, but they must accomplish those fates themselves. Since you desire to turn over a new leaf, should you not begin through hard work rather than relying on opportunism?" The prince quickly replied, "My father was a great patron of the shrine, so if you must argue, half of the golden statues and indeed your expenses should belong to me by right. And am I not here to claim this debt I am owed?" Doesn't seem like he's turning over a new leaf. "Arrogant prince, will you make an enemy of the gods?" the priest said with a sigh. "Yet on your father's account, if you shall promise to keep to your place and manage your finances well, I shall tell you how to become wealthy." And so the prince swore upon the divine statue, and the priest directed him to a street market at the outport. Coming to said market, the prince met a woman dressed in great finery, tending to an emaciated sumpter beast. "Esteemed lady," the prince asked, "is there anything I might do for you?" "You've come at a good time," the woman replied. "I must go out to sea on an urgent errand, and I fear that there is no one who can help me take care of this beast. But if you will aid me, I shall return in 3 months and pay you 10 million more." The prince was overjoyed at this. "But," the woman continued, "you must not feed this beast till it is full. Nor can you speak to it. Otherwise, even that which you own now, you shall lose." Must not feed this beast till it is full. And what have I to lose? The prince thought to himself, and thus agreed readily. The woman then entrusted the sumpter beast to him. 3 months passed quickly, and as the woman requested, not once did he completely fill the sumpter beast's stomach, nor did he speak one word to it. Until the final day. On this day, the prince, excited at the thought of his soon-to-be reward, he sat before a fire, spoke to the sumpter beast. Oh, good son to beasties, thanks to you that I shall be rich again. If you have a request, name it, and I shall satisfy you. He had to speak to it, didn't he? Hearing these words, the son to beast cried, "Oh, honored prince, I have no other wish but to have a full stomach on this last day." Hearing the son to beast speak, the prince was greatly shocked and allowed his curiosity to take over, forgetting all about the woman's instruction. Turning around, he brought water and hay from the feeding trough. "My most gentle prince," the now son to beast said slowly, "I was once a god who served the heavens and ruled over many vassal kings of the desert. But I was cheated by that venomous witch and forced into this form. If you will have mercy upon me and release me into the desert, I swear upon the king of the blazing sun that I will grant you riches beyond counting, more by far than what that witch can give." The prince felt dubious about the son to beast's words, and so he decided to hide it, and then conceal himself in a corner to await the woman's return. She did indeed return the next day, only to find both prince and son to beast missing. "Faithless wretch," the woman cursed. "If I catch you, I shall seal you in the smallest magic bottle I find, and there you shall face eternal torment." Seeing her thus, the prince finally believed the son to beast's words. Once she had left, he prepared to release the poor animal. As it was about to leave, it said to him, "O merciful prince, may all the desert gods defend you. I shall fulfill my promise to grant you endless riches and happiness. Ask only that you do not ask where they came from, or else you will lose even that which you have now." Following the son to beast's directions, the prince came to a hidden place at the edge of the desert, and there he did discover a mighty and luxurious palace. Its walls were decorated with gold and gems, and its gates were made of pure gold, with a lovely male servant leading many lovely ladies out of these great doors to receive them. And thus did the prince once again lead an opulent life. Each day the male servant would bring him silver, gold, pearls, and gems, rare delicacies and fine wine were to enjoy, and each day brought unique dancing girls to keep him company. And such was his life for 3 years. But even in the merriment and revelry could boredom be bred. And one day the prince woke from days of drunken stupor, and he thought to himself, "I'm tired now of my life today, and am in need of new thrills." Now, was it not because I refused the instruction on the which I gained this life of mine? Who then may say that some to beast did not hide something from me for fear that I might discover his secret? If I can find the source of this limitless wealth, surely greater happiness shall be mine. And so the prince summoned his faithful servant and said to him, "My most faithful servant, could you tell me of the source of this gold and gems, wine and spirits, and even these musicians and courtesans that you bring before me each day?" "Of course, my respected master," the manservant replied. "For each day I traverse the lands between the desert and this place, and all that you enjoy is drawn thereof. Your lovely dancers were once swaying desert eels, the glittering gold of the endless sands, and the gourmet meals you enjoy are of my own personal make. And I, your loyal servant," the manservant paused, "am naught but a humble scout." Just as he finished speaking, the glorious palace dissolved in an instant, and the prince found that he was seated upon a squat sand dune, and there was nothing around him apart from the crawling insects. After a long while he gained his senses, and even through his shock and terror he felt the hand of grief and regret. And yet he had now lost. What he had now lost could not easily be regained, and the prince was at last reduced to wandering, never to feel happiness again. From then on he could tell anyone who wished to hear him speak his story. I think he went mad and hallucinated. Okay, Volume 4. The Tale of the Researcher. Once upon a time there lived a researcher, upon whom all the hallmarks of the haughty man of letters might be seen. Though he himself, and we shall be generous to him here, was not the best among his peers. Knowledge is like a fruit, after all, and time quickly whittles its freshness away. If you cannot eat it all while it is still juicy and full, the rest shall taste like sweet decay. "Time," the young researcher said. "You truly are my hated foe. even more so than I consider my colleagues. Alas, innate characteristics such as laziness could not be so easily shaken off. Thus did winters turn into summers and back again, bringing his hated colleagues glory and praise, while he was left with the scars of the bygone years. Perhaps this was some trick of fate, but our main character could indeed discover a way to make his wish reality. Quite by accident, in fact. Time seems fair, though it is but a veneer. That I am not as quick-witted as others due to a lack of talent, and not due to a lack of talent. Nay, 'tis but the cruelty of time. So thought the researcher, now no longer young. Now that my chance has come, I must use it well. As he thought his wish to the injured genie. I wish for time to be just, so that I might write better theses. Time to be just? The genie understood him quite easily, saying, all things come with a price. Oh yes, and I've clearly paid part of that toll, he said, shrugging. I wasted my youth on pointless pursuits. Now that things have come to this point, I no longer desire common joys. I only wish to leave behind a work of stunning brilliance, that my name shall be praised for generations. Nor do I wish for my work to be left on perishable ink and paper, but it shall instead be carved into stone. Thousands of years on, my mark shall still be left upon this world. In this way, I shall have my justice. I shall triumph over time. If that is your will, the genie replied non-committally, fulfilling the researcher's wish nonetheless. Or whether that was truly a genie or some demon in disguise was quite a matter of contention, especially in hindsight. Leaving this matter aside, the researcher, whose wish was fulfilled, found that everything had now become slow compared to his thinking. Good. Now then, my agility of mind shall not be a problem. At first, the researcher was most pleased. Now that he had ample slack to speak of, so to speak, there was much time for thoughtful consideration. The time it took for Sanguine to fall to the earth was not sufficient for him to raise his left hand to touch his forehead, but his mind could sprint during this time. From forest to desert, from vast plain to snowy tundra, it could run indeed. He cursed that all the pages of a book could not be laid out flat, but had to be flipped one by one. But even had they been laid out before him, his eyeballs would have failed to move quickly enough. By the time his eyes had finished resting upon a single word, he would already have exhausted all vocabulary related to that word, and all imagination pertaining to that vocabulary. I think too much and write too little, the researcher thought afterward. I must use the most elegant words to write the most academically rigorous paper. But when he had penned the first word, his thoughts had already leapt to the conclusion, and so he had constantly repeated the essay to himself. As he silently dictated the text, it would become more and more refined. Yet this could only happen in his mind. When all was said and done, his right hand had yet to even write 7 words. Oh boy. That could be hell. And thus was his great work, comprised of the finest lexicon and the stoutest logic, compromised by the researcher's own body. Every passage came out tattered, as if someone had shredded every page and put them back together haphazardly. The words that were connected felt like fragments randomly selected from a complete text, and no one could really grasp the connection between them. It was on a starless night when he, with all his strength like one completing a centuries-long exodus, managed to leave his study, arriving at the courtyard downstairs. Perhaps speaking shall be more direct than writing, he said, a single bare thread of hope remaining in his heart. But his very voice seemed to stumble after the weave of his thoughts. His syllables came out disjointed and fragmentary, as if the intent behind the words had changed even as they were being said, and so they came out as mere mumbling and whimpering. Alas, poor fellow! One might also think he has been possessed, so said the well-dressed young folk, who looked upon him with sympathy. But at least he still has the moon. They left after saying these words, leaving the researcher alone in the moon-bathed courtyard, trapped in the prison he once called a body. Then the mere husk of a mortal man began to recall a story that he had once read. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, I guess. That's why I always known when you word your wishes to like genies and stuff, you got to be very careful. The Tale of the Mirror, the Palace, and the Dreamer. Night after night, she would always dream about that distant palace. Its intricate structure was formed of infinite corridors, arcades, and passages, and at each corner would be hung a silver mirror with a gilded frame. It is said that the king spent 200 years, 6 years more must be added if one wishes to follow the numbering of years in those days, to design this place. And when seated upon the throne, he could gaze into any mirror, and through his exquisitely planned and winding paths of light, he could glimpse any corner of his realm. Yet when she looked into the mirrors at the end of the hallways in her dream, all she could see was a blurry image, that of a masked young woman garbed in fine raiment, wearing lovely ornaments, walking through the opulent corridors like a heat haze in the flaming gold of day. She knew then her purpose. Though it might seem strange, she wished to gain an audience with that king and tell him something, for those words had been put into her heart and were not hers to command, though she would always leave those words somewhere in the warping mirror lights each time she awoke with a start. Year after year in her dreams, as clear as dawn, she would try, and fail, to find the way to the throne. Nor would she ever witness that king in person. The young lady who was once lost among the mirrors was now a famed magician, and even so in those stolen, dreaming moments, in those flashes of unconscious lucidity, those fantastical thoughts still had her soul in their iron grip. One day the great mage discovered clues to reaching that distant kingdom at last, forsaking all that the worldly might hold dear. She set out on her journey alone, across mottled moonlight, and sailed. Through the shadowed valleys she strode, and the darkest forest she braved, until she at last reached that realm of her dreams. But alas, alas, that city had been annihilated in a terrible fire a few hundred years ago, and the once prosperous kingdom was now no more. The city had been annihilated in a terrible fire. I think I know which one that is, since it's in Sumeru as the old kingdom in the desert. It's something beginning with O. I can't remember the name. The morning breeze is forgotten by all. Song and color have faded from sight. Only the dim gleam of towers tall lights the ruined barren night. She entered the devastated palace and walked amidst its ruins. The mirrors and their gilded frames had long been shattered, with naught but their shattered wreck remaining, each splinter reflecting a beam of chilling moonlight. The court was not as bizarre or strange as it had been in her dreams. In a few mere corners and a few corridors, she was knocking on the door of the throne room. It was a circular hall with hundreds of mirrors hanging from the stone walls. Though like the mirrors in the hallways, these had also mostly been destroyed. The mage subconsciously walked towards the long vacated throne and sat down, casting her gaze upon one of the still whole mirrors. In that mirror she beheld again that masked young woman, garbed in fine raiment, walking amidst the opulent halls, and behind her the mirrors. Mirrors that had never been shattered, reflected 1,000 reflections of her form. She startled and raised her head, for that young woman now stood before her, silently watching. Unimaginable pain in her eyes. The mage had only just thought of something to say when the woman drew a dagger, before stabbing her in the heart. A lustrous rose bloom graced the silent tip of the blade as flames ignited all around them, consuming the hall that had once been destroyed by a great blaze once more. She smiled in confusion, astonishment, and relief, for the woman then took her mask off, revealing the features of the mage herself, dry lips quivering ever so slightly, This time the mage could finally hear the other person's words. Words that had become lost across the decades and centuries within this labyrinthian dream and its eventide bewilderment. It was a story told by herself to herself. Told by her to herself. A story reflected in thousands of shattered slivers of silver, echoing on and on forever. Don't know about a mirror palace? I believe I heard of a palace that was destroyed by a fire. That's in the desert. It was part of that little power quest. It starts with O. I can't remember. Tale of the Bird Chaser. This is the story of an old bird chaser. North of the kingdom lies a dense forest. It is home to a flock of birds that can mimic the words of humans. Oh, it's those parrots. They often gather like a cloud by the break of the dawn. As they fly in the forest, iridescent hues dance on their spread wings. And the chatters echo around the tree crowns. But these creatures are not alone. For an old and frail man dressed in tattered rags always comes and spends all day chasing after them like a savage. Just as how a towering tree was once tender and delicate, the old man used to be fair and handsome. He grew up in a village by the forest, agile and kind. He was much loved by all. Every girl in the village adored him, but his heart fluttered only for his love. A young priestess serving in the forest who always fascinated him with miracles of the divine. The young man often thought that he would give up anything to be with the girl, until death did them part. Alas, that which is sweet never lasts, and grueling war broke out. The young were conscripted, including the man. Before he left for the battlefield, he saw his love weep for the first time. Teardrops rolled down her cheeks like dew falling from a green leaf, then down to his heart. Yet little did he know the actual reason behind the girl's melancholia. He made hasty promises, wishing to ease the girl's sorrow, one caused by departure as he then naively believed. With grief written all over her face, the girl gave no response to his beautiful vows. After a brief silence, she said she would send talking birds to relay her words of longing. It was an unusual use of power, but the young man took her act as a means to secure his love, so he nodded. The young man departed the next day to honor his duty to his kingdom. It would soon be over, he thought, but reality eventually proved him wrong. The war dragged on and on. It was not until stubble grew on his chin and his eyes and hands became battle-hardened that the dust finally settled. His only solace in this brutal war was the birds from his hometown, as if guided by the gods. They always managed to come to him, on quiet nights carrying her words and the whispers of her bittersweet longing, telling him of changes in the village, or of a few short verses she wrote him. The sustained separation had not diminished his love for her. Instead, if love was a monument, it would be driven into his heart. When the war finally ended, he hurried home to propose to his beloved, only to find that she had died of an acute illness on a cold night shortly after his departure. The young man refused to accept it, for he had just been visited by a talking bird the previous day. When his young priestess read him beautiful prose through its mouth, he broke into the girl's closed chamber. But as the sunlight filled the dim room, it stirred what was inside. Countless enchanted birds waiting to be awakened from their rich slumber. In a single instant, the birds rushed past him, wings flapping by his ears, and flew through the open door into the sky like an ethereal cloud, returning to their home. At last the young man stood alone, his love's empty room before him. It finally dawned on him why the girl had made that most unusual arrangement with that saddened expression on her face the day they parted. It had been an arrangement for a lifetime. On her dying bed she must have taught the birds countless words, more than enough to fill his every night since with a flicker of light. Birds live far longer than humans think. From that day on, the young man has been chasing after the talking birds in the forest. In their voices, he seeks to catch her lingering soul, to repent for his sin of scattering her love in the woods. Man yet tireless, the young man has not stopped his chase for a single day, as he turned into a middle-aged man, then aged into an old man. The talking birds now speak of nothing new, and their numbers have dwindled. But what if there is still one that he has not yet met? One with something from her that he has not yet known. The obsession traps the bird chaser in the forest, and upon his face is written the toll of years. He skillfully sets up traps very catch the birds and keeps them in the cage, stroking their necks, playing with them, and giving them the best cereals and clearest water. Then he will say to them, "Speak, talking birds, speak of my love. Who the forest favored so dearly, speak of what she taught you." And so the generously fed birds will tell such a story. I went mad. Well, that's all my voice can endure. But let's first go to Chenyu Vale and we'll experience that boat song. It's right here. What the hell? There's no way I haven't done this. Oh, what's over here? Oh shit!
風よ散れ。
頭突きや突撃。
I think it just vaporized me. Wow, that was a double-edged sword.
旅の収穫だ。
Alright, let's get this. After a single tip, I've been trapped in the river mud for ages. Your Eminence, please return to my rightful position. My original position. I've not done this? Oh my god. Thank you for your assistance, Benefactor. Allow me to call upon you to aid you in crossing the water.
旅の収穫だ。
Is this what it gave me? This thing? Oh my god. I missed that as well. Let's just get that. Let's get this real quick. Great. Give me a second. I had to run out of stamina right at the very point where I needed to jump. God damn it.
時間が
What's this? Send me back, huh?
この世界も俺に応えているのか。
I'm sure it's nothing, right?
知れ。
Alright, Bossu, let's go. Yeah, that's right. I wish there was a cinematic option for this boat ride. Kind of like
连连全相欢，临看现出东北岸，游乱安君藏心难。 有故连连全相还，临看现出东北岸。有乱君藏西南，牵羊临困自相隔，长流我不转，美玉藏其间。
Anyway, I was like what I was saying before, like Red Dead Redemption, how they have the cinematic button. Well, it's also with GTA as well. Well, anyway, that's the song. I'm not sure if it's the same song that I just read, but yeah. Anyway, I should end it now. Next stream will be the new version. Let's see. 2 days, yeah. Next stream will be version 5.6, 7, 6, 6, yeah, 6. What's in it? Escoffier? I will be pulling on her banner. I'm not sure if I'll get her, but I do want Aoife, so I can go with my Auroron team, my Electric Shock. If I can get just say her name, Escoffier, then I'll get her. Maybe I'll just stop at the first 5-star. I'm not sure. I don't know about her. But I do kind of want to get Skirk, so it's like Escoffier is very good. She heals, she buffs, well, actually she not buffs, she shreds, and she deals damage. It's just like a very all-around good character, and since I am Shenhe main, I should actually buff my... Why don't I go into this? Buff my cryo. Yeah. I also have a set prepared for Skirk. So, I guess I am kind of prepared. And a deep gallery set as this. So I'm sort of prepared, semi-prepared. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next version, I guess. The next stream I'll probably just do the pools and probably leveling up and trialing them out. That's about it. Very short stream, but it's not really story related, so yeah, there's that. And you'll be free to travel. Avatar of Saurian Buddy. Till we meet again. Will we ever meet again? Oh, we should, right? It's not that he's gonna die. He'll probably turn into a Saurian, a very capable Saurian. Candace's birthday, very nice. Protecting your peace. In the desert, we make candy for the finest Agelanak from the finest Agelanak nuts and offer them as gifts. Uncle Ampu says the nuts are growing especially well this year, so I've already set aside the largest and juiciest ones for the cherished guests of Aru village. At dawn, the bells of caravan sumpter beasts chime gently. Scholars weave through the village clutching scrolls, and children's bright voices trade tales of wonders beyond the wall of Samio. The growing bonds between our village and the rainforest trace back to what you did here. If you are ever tired from your journey, why not return to Aru village and rest a while? We may not have the festive bonfires, but I promise you protection and restful nights. For you, Aru village's doors are always open. I wonder if Dory's investments in Aru village are paying off. Well, we'll see. Maybe in Genshin Impact Part 2 or whatever. Anyways, yeah. That'll have to be it from me. We are doing co-op later today. I said later today, but it's like in under 20 minutes. So I'll catch you guys then if you want to stick around. It'll be Gears of War 5 or Gears 5. Anyways, peach.